Hello and welcome to the Fall In Podcast. I'm your host, Big Al, and here on the Fall In Podcast, we talk about all sorts of things. Things from things that have happened, things that are going to happen, and things that are going on right now. And tonight, it's going to prove to be a big special treat for you here is we've got the guys from Freedom and Faith. That's going to be Jeremy Smith and Dylan McMasters. And these guys will be talking to us about exactly what freedom and faith is. And as you listen to this, see if there's something that you yourself might be able to tap into. So without further ado, I welcome to you Mr. Jeremy Smith and Mr. Dylan McMasters.
Hey,
Welcome,
sir. How
gentlemen.
you doing?
How you doing?
What's going
Outstanding.
on?
Doing great. So Jeremy, why don't you talk to us a little bit about your journey and how you got to where you are right now, and what exactly is freedom and faith?
Yes, sir. So I got out of the Army in 2016, and I found myself down a pretty dark road. I felt alone and ended up turning to alcohol with depression and anxiety and, the whole nine yards. And through that route, I ended up finding Jesus and realized that I don't need anything else. And reached out to some old buddies. Dylan Lemasters he's my old platoon sergeant. I was a section sergeant, and so we became close friends over the years. And so I reached out to him first. I could always trust his guidance and his mentorship, and reached out to him. Found out he is also a believer, which blew my mind because we never really had that conversation. And then with that, that we just started pursuing. Who else is out there that we don't know about that, also believes and has this faith? And then who else can we help with that faith? And so it kind of just blossomed from there. And, we've been running pretty hard with it. We've ended up, both of us and a few more guys have given their testimonies and really detailed testimonies about their journey. Mine's pretty dark and a lot deeper than what I just gave you, but, for sake of time, I'll just leave that open. It's already on y'all's site, so I'll leave that open for others to go look for.
We got all the time in the world, brother. I mean, as long as that's what this is about. This is about discovery.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, go ahead, Jeremy.
No, go ahead, Dylan. That was my intro.
So, no, I just want to kind of inject with that too. Like, obviously, I've always believed in God, right? I've seen it on both ends. Like, brought life into this world, taking life out. And we all go through our different struggles. We're all in different points in our walk in life. And what, Jeremy, it started about 2 years ago that we started having this conversation.
That's it.
And like anything, it kind of takes time to get momentum going, get fully committed. Sometimes you see signs from God or your friends or other things that are happening in life that kind of keep you going down the path, if you will, and you just keep following it, right? So same deal for me. Obviously, I stayed in the regiment. I was in the regiment till 2022. Joined the regiment as a private in 2001. I started having panic attacks in 2015. And so that's kind of how, kind of fast forward a little bit, because I already gave my testimony as well, is obviously when Jeremy came up on the net with this idea, I'd always felt like I should tell my story to keep guys from feeling like they're isolated. Because you're not the only one, right? I was all in. So I was I knew it was a sign hey, this is something we need to do and something that needs to continue forward. So straight up, unless you heard something other than what I said, Jeremy, when you came up on the net, I was I'm all in. It's a fight worth fighting for. So
now I'm gonna jump in here because there's a couple of things that you guys said that we're gonna explore through discovery. Excuse me. One of those things was you said that you turned to alcohol.
Yes, sir.
Well, I know that I served 20 years, 4 months, 9 days, and alcohol was as prevalent when I came in the military as it was when I got out. It still is a part of my everyday life, and for a lot of us, that is the norm. You know what I mean? And it's way more socially acceptable to be, what we would consider an overindulger in the military than it would be in the civilian world. So now that you have found yourself and you found your sobriety in your faith, is your life still? I mean, you've obviously made that change, but how have you dealt with that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, and just, I guess, to back up a little bit more, I left the Army with a drinking problem, so I'm 100% in with you on that.
Yeah, I wanted to kind of hit on that one, right?
Absolutely. I've been drinking since the day I was able to drink, and but yeah, I left the Army with a drinking problem, and that problem, I guess, just became more prevalent because I didn't have that time with the boys. That fire pit time. I think Clint had said that last week. That fire pit time with the boys to really sit down and kind of cut that top edge off and just give yourself a little bit more room to take a little bit more on. And I didn't have that anymore. So all of that I just drink after drink on top of that, and I was basically getting blacked out drunk every night, 7 days a week, and and then on the edge of that, my wife and my kids left. Packing them up was the most humble day of my life. And I moved them, they moved to a different city, and I moved them over there and came back. And that's when I hit rock bottom. So when I thought I was alone, I had just begun. And I began to really tear into that and really fall to the bottom of that one. And then that's when I started hearing I started hearing the voice. And I'll explain that by, looking back over the years. We're right now, I think we're averaging 22 a day suicides. And looking back over the years, 14 years that I spent in the Army, a lot of combat, and I've lost more friends today through suicide than I have through combat. And so that's been always on my mind, but I never understood how them guys can do that. We all have kids and everything. But when I hit rock bottom and I started hearing that voice, I understand now. I see where that seed gets planted at, and I see how it gets started. And so lucky for me, I was already on the search for another way, and I'd already found God, but I hadn't given him anything. Hadn't given him my life, hadn't given him anything. And I ran to a counselor the very next day or the next week, whenever that happened. And immediately, though, I saw the problem and I saw where it was going. And so I stayed in counseling and ended up diving deep into faith. I started unpacking all these things and started filling that with, faith-based podcasts, scripture, pastors, online sermons. I mean, I filled every void I could, and I packed it with scripture. And, to this day, like you said, that's a daily occurrence. And I hang out every day, and I am completely fine. There's nothing wrong with drinking alcohol. Just the way I was doing it, there's something wrong with that. And I can't drink. I hang out with guys that go to church and they have one or two a night. I can't do that. If I drink one, I'm going to drink 10. So I just can't. I don't have that ability to go back and forth. So I just completely eliminate it from my life.
Well, it takes a tremendous amount of self-control to do that. And Sergeant Major McMasters, to kind of jump back onto the point that you said, it is a stigmatism that as a senior leader, I mean, you really have to kind of toe the line. I mean, that's what we were always kind of, that's the way it's perceived. You just, especially when it comes to religion, mental health, and anything that is kind of what we would consider risque. The things that that most people don't talk about. Right? So
I want to hit 2 points on that, right? So those points are super critical. Really quick, I just want to hit on something Jeremy was saying. Like, a huge point is we're all at different points in our walk in life, right? So, like, for me, the alcohol portion of it, like, when I started having panic attacks, right, I'd already had a family history of, like, alcoholism, so that was already a red flag. So I drank, but not a lot, right? So God gives everybody a choice, right? So when that thing happened to me, my choice was to stop drinking altogether and, like, go healthy, quit smoking, all that stuff, right? So it's funny how God puts things in your life that will change the course of your life. right? And he's doing it for a reason. Then to your point, like as a senior leader, that is also a huge reason why I was all in once Jeremy came up on the net. Because again, it goes back to if guys feel isolated, right, and nobody's there to show them the way, that's my inherent responsibility. That's our inherent responsibility as leaders to show them the way. You know what I mean? And I'd already been going through it at that point for, 7 years, 6.5 years. So it's kind of like shame on me to not tell my story, but I also kind of needed that push because I'd done it on smaller levels. It's just what I didn't realize at the time was those people weren't ready to like come out into the light, if you will. They're still stuck in the darkness. So that's a tough thing. Also, you have to pick up on like the signs that God's given you, right? Like a lot of times I think we spend more time turning a blind eye or trying to figure out what's wrong with us instead of getting with the network to help each other grow or get through a dark time or whatever it is. So,
and when you're talking about that, we all have had our journey, and you don't know what you don't know. You don't know what each individual's true demons are. So,
yep.
As a leader, you kind of try to look for that. You look for the things that are going on in an individual's life that would actually cause them, what we call it a significant emotional event, right? Those are the things that are truly gonna get at you, man. And I could just think back to lots of times myself where I was just out there operating, and it was literally almost coin operated if you think about it. I was a machine, so when you actually start breaking the machine down and looking at the man behind it, and that's what happens when a lot of us transition, we have a hard time looking at who that individual is.
Yeah.
So
Hey, so I want to hit on something right there, like the mission, right? We get so hyper focused on doing the mission and taking care of our people that we forget to take care of ourselves, which actually is helping us hurt our people. You know what I mean? Because sometimes because we're so focused on making a mission happen, like we forget about our own people to equal mission success, right? When really you should take care of your people first. And a lot of times, sometimes it's the policy or the regulation that may drive that. So it is a tightrope, if you will.
So let me ask you this question: which in your professional military opinion, which is more critical, the mission or your people?
So people first, 100%. Because here's the reality: the mission won't happen without the people. Period. End of statement. You can throw all the money at a problem in the world. You can have all the black helicopters in the world. At the end of the day, none of that happens without the people. So you take care of your people.
I wasn't trying to stump you. I was just trying to illustrate that really is true in this instance because you two don't work for each other anymore.
No.
So your bond together is truly one that is a personal bond. So I totally dig it.
That's correct. Yeah, we have a fairly, our group is growing daily. We're not solely on your guys' site. We started on another site, and we're slowly transitioning. But that as well takes time. We just got guys kind of conditioned in our site, and so now we're trying to. Once we get that packed together, we're going to start pulling them over and hopefully be able to open up a lot more, especially with your guys' security and all that stuff. So, but yeah, the testimonies. Just real quick on that, I was invited to go and speak at a drug rehab, alcohol and drug rehab in Mississippi about 6 months ago. And we had already had this site. We really hadn't been doing, we hadn't done the video stuff yet. And I gave my testimony over there. And when I did that, I had a fire lit inside of me. I became an addict to that, and I've done a few more, and I can't get over that. The impact you can have, because I can type it all day long and send it out, and you guys can read it, but there's no emotion behind it. You don't see how
Right.
I'm reacting. You don't see me, how I cower back or how I sit forward, as I'm talking. And so you don't get the impact that it had on me through my voice or through my posture. And so once I saw that, and I talked to those guys after we had done our stuff, and got the feedback from that, I became addicted to that. And that's when we kind of really reintroduced the site and came up with the video ideas. And that's been tremendous. We haven't had a video in about a month now, and a guy just posted a video today, and people came out the woodworks. It's like everybody kind of went on back to their own little things, and as soon as somebody dropped a video, everybody gathered back up, and today's been a really big day for us on our site. So it just shows the power of that emotion and the power of that video that we can do, and that's what the platforms are for.
Yeah, the one thing that you did touch on, you touched on the amount of loss that we've all suffered. So that's the one thing, unfortunately, that really bonds us together. I don't know how many dead friends I got on Facebook, but talk to us a little bit about freedom and faith. So what is it?
So we're giving testimonies is kind of the blanket overall. We gave testimonies and tried to build off of that. So off of our testimonies, we're looking at where are the holes at. Guys are coming in, chiming in. We're offering the faith side of it. We're trying to not push guys, but show guys the faith side of this, the faith side of the recovery. It's not about pills through the VA. It's not about, not everything needs to be through a psychologist or, there's a lot to be learned and there's a lot to be sought for in the Bible. And that's my biggest takeaway. And that's what I want to release to the masses is there's a lot of recovery in the Bible, just the verses. And so through the testimonies, we also we do scripture. We write scripture, and then some days I just have a thought, and maybe I'll connect that thought to scripture, and then I'll post a thought in scripture. And same thing with Dylan or any other guy we have on the site. It's not really. It's just more of it's just guys coming together and using the Bible as our structure and our center, coming together and just talking through life. That's really what it's about.
Yeah, so I want to add to that a little bit. So think about it too, like, all right, for 14 years, 24 years, 7 months when I get out, 20 plus years, what were you a part of? You're a part of a team, right? A really tight-knit team. So a portion of the site also is to bring that team together in different ways that maybe we're not accustomed to. And one of those ways is to talk about some of our issues and have that shared understanding and let people know that, hey, you're not alone. Like, you're not the only one. This is a place you can come to talk with your brothers or sisters, and we can grow together through faith, through conversation. And I'll tell you, when I posted my video, my testimony, it was a huge weight off my shoulders because I've been carrying that in my rucksack for quite some time. It's something that I wanted to do. I just wasn't sure how to do it yet. So when I finally did it, it was like, literally, it was liberating, right? And then, like Jeremy was saying, it's something I'm going to continue to do. And I mean, just the effect that it's had has been tremendous. So back to you.
Yeah, that's awesome because, I mean, it does take all of us together. So you guys got together, you said it was about 2 years ago.
Yep.
And you kind of started this thing. When did you really start to say, hey, this is going to pick up steam? We really need to kind of like go ahead and make this official and get it going.
Dylan's the guy that kind of holds everything back because I was easily deterred, I guess, and so I kept hitting Dylan up, man. This ain't going anywhere. And then released that video, and then one day randomly, I think I invited like 40 dudes, and Dylan texted me and he's like, I guess we're doing this. So Dylan invited 40 dudes, and then those guys invited. So, everybody started inviting and people started coming in, onesie twosies. And like I said, we're still small, but you look at the people we're gathering. I mean, these are leaders. These are guys that are coming in and they're breaking their their norm, their mold,
These
and
are
coming in
wolves.
giving.
Yeah, these aren't sheep. These are
No,
wolves.
no, absolutely. So, we have, I think right now we're at 88 or 89 guys, and they're coming in, and these are guys that are going to go out in the world and they're going to make something happen. These ain't guys that are just going to sit around and mope. So, and these guys are coming in, and like I said, we slowly built. Dylan kept me in check throughout that build time, and once we started hitting a good amount of numbers, we had a lot of quality guys. Then we started looking into different aspects. The testimony thing right now, we're looking at going to in August, September timeframe. We have a men's conference, biblical men's conference, where I feel these kind of guys, this military, you can't find that here, where I live at. These guys aren't, they don't breed them like that over here. So I'm taking 2 guys from our group, bringing them down here to give their testimony to a group of men, and about 200-300 men at this. And the way I see it is, these guys' testimony to those guys. I mean, you can't beat that. You can't. These guys ain't. Not to bust anybody down, but I just feel the military breed has way more to offer, as far as kicked down, got back up, and I'm pushing forward. And that's something that you can't find here. So we're looking to kind of branch out in that way. Maybe little small venues and stuff like that.
Well, we definitely need to put the information about that in the chat. Definitely want to link people to that. That's coming up in August. Do you guys have any other things like that that are coming up on the calendar that you would like to kind of shine some awareness on?
Not on the calendar right now. I am right now on Tuesday nights. I'm going to it's called the Hero Treatment Program. It's in a town called Opelousas, Louisiana. It's a VA appointed drug and alcohol treatment program, PTSD as well. And so we're doing Bible studies on Tuesday nights with those guys, and I'm looking to integrate with those guys what we're doing, because those guys, I think, definitely would benefit from hearing from Command Sergeant Major Lemasters, and all these other guys that come in from their type, their side of the world, and hearing their stories. And it's not guys we've ever worked with, but it doesn't matter. I think that camaraderie and that brotherhood would definitely be almost instantaneous, as soon as we got there. So I think that would be beneficial to them, and also to our movement, and helping us move forward.
Yeah, because the biggest thing on that is first and foremost, what do we bring to the table, right? And really, it's our brand, it's our credibility, it's the ability to push forward in the face of adversity. We've done that, right? So if you look at leadership, being a parent, we should teach other people to get there faster, right? And that's what we offer, because you can't replace experience at the end of the day. So when you get out there and you're speaking from the heart, from the soul about your experiences, and you're touching people because they had the same experiences, or they're going through other things that they need to kind of leverage other people or ideas to get them through something. I mean, that's a powerful thing, and not a lot of people have it.
Yeah, absolutely. That was one of the reasons why we kind of started Fall In, because everybody's lost when they get out. You're part of a group. You know what you're wearing, you know what you're doing, and we're all out there beating the drum for the same cause. So when you get out, man, just seeing the lack of discipline that's out there in the civilian world, it just makes your head explode sometimes. So, and if we don't get organizations like this to kind of pour that effort into, we're just going to keep putting names on the wall. And that 22, that number is going to eventually go down. And some people look at that and they say, yeah, we want to know we're killing ourselves off,
Yeah.
and that's the problem. So I love the fact that you guys are bringing a lot of attention to freedom and faith. I mean, because that's those are the two things that we fight for, but we really don't stand up for ourselves when we're in the military. So kudos to you, man, Sergeant Major Lemasters, because that had to take. I mean, Yeah, that's a big deal when you step forth and you start to profess your faith, because I mean, people don't, not everybody is looking at you and applauding you for that. Some people actually kind of see that for weakness.
Yeah.
100%.
So, yep. So on a hit. So like, kind of two things on that. So it's scary to be alone and afraid, right? So like in this case, Jeremy's down in Louisiana, alone and afraid, but he's making a huge impact, making a huge difference. And then two, like having the courage to step forward. Like, here's the deal: we can talk about it or we can be about it. Like
Absolutely.
that's period
Well
end of
said.
statement. So I choose to be about it, but it also takes a team, right? Because to your point, if we're all isolated, we're weak alone. We're super strong together. Because me and Jeremy will talk all the time and be like, hey, like this isn't moving that fast. What should we do? Sometimes I'm like, Jeremy, pump the brakes, because I'm like legal, because I'm still in the Army. I'm still a command sergeant major. So I'm thinking through all these contingencies. But at the same time, I'm like, Jeremy, don't slow down for me. I just want to make sure you see it. You know what I'm saying? And vice versa. He'll be like, hey, I'm like, I'll call him. I have a thought, because I'm here by myself. You know, it gets lonely at the top, if you will. But like, you have to be the trailblazer. You have to set the standard. Like, you can't let anybody or anything hold you back, especially if,
And
like, it's calling.
yeah, absolutely. And I used to always joke and say that, you know, the loneliest guy on the installation is the commander himself, because
Yeah.
he has no friends in his phone book. You know, everybody that he is talking to, they work for him. So who does he truly get to go sit down and say, hey man, because it's okay to not be okay, but
Yep.
but the only thing I ever wanted to hear from my guys was that hey, are you good? And I just want them to say, yeah, Roger, top, or we're good to go. You know, and because that's what I was telling my boss. You
Yep.
know, I wasn't really getting down to the fact that, hey, yeah, I'm not good. You know what I mean? I'm sitting over here and I got maintenance panels illuminated in my life, but I'm just doing everything I can to look calm and to keep this thing pointed in the right direction.
Yeah, absolutely. And kind of, I guess the good side of this too is I was able to sit down with some of the guys at Regiment a couple of weeks ago, and obviously with this going, I definitely wanted to at least bring it up, you know, and not be intruding, but hey, this is what we're going through right now. Make sure you guys are looking at this, and they laid out detailed plans. They're running through the books. They're making sure guys are getting time off. They're using you know, cadre slots and things of that nature to give guys a break. And it was really refreshing to see that, because like everybody else, you know, no, I'm good. Let's keep going. You know, whether that was, you know, my family was jacked up, my, you know, whatever's going on. Oh no, I'm good. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm
So
good to go.
that was just a common state. So
Hey, so that's probably one of the biggest problems, right? Like, sometimes we need to be saved from ourselves.
yeah,
And what always happens? It's almost like clockwork. Like, we're always reactionary to the problem. Like, everybody saw it, but nobody said anything, right? So it's kind of about a lot of it. It's about that strategic and tactical action to like intervene, right, in the best possible way. And because like all our guys are so driven, like nobody wants to take a knee. Nobody wants to not be a part of the mission. Like, you're go, 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 go 100% of the time. But somebody needs to be there to look out for the brothers and be like, hey, it's time for you to take a knee. I'll put you back in the game. You just need 10 minutes, or you need this amount of time to reset. So, and
So
that's a tough thing to do.
so I'm gonna go ahead and just, you know, that's what Big Al does. So Jeremy, do you feel that in the environment that you were operating in, that if you would have truly came up, because this is a tough question, I want you to think about it a little bit. But do you feel that at that time, if you would have truly came up on the net and said, "Hey, man, I need some help," uh, how do you think you would have? How do you think that would have been met then versus now?
uh, truly and honestly, because I know how I would have dealt with it, I don't think it would have been met well. You know, I think it'd have been seen as weakness, and you'd almost been pushed aside, especially if you're running the gauntlet and you're making your way up. As soon as you take that knee, that momentum's gone. So I'm talking about rank structure, moving up in the ladder in the company and everything. You lose that. And to be honest, I was the same way. Guys, hey, suck it up, dude, man. You're in the Army, so, and plus you are where you are right now. We don't have time for that. And so
that's the reality of it, right?
That's it. Yep.
Right. Go ahead. Sorry. Did we cut you
No,
off?
I'm just saying, but now there is a definite change. I've seen the guys I talk to, there is an absolute change in mindset and in their ability to take a step to the side. So.
And I was going to ask you, Sergeant Major, from the evolution from being a platoon sergeant to being Command Sergeant Major Garrison, how have you seen this not only affect readiness from then to now, but even like the leadership climate?
So it's a challenge, right? It's a major challenge because a lot of times you have guys, again, that are so mission focused that they're afraid to come forward in fear of retribution. I will tell you, at least for me, for the last probably 6 years, we've absolutely tried to change the stigma across the board from every leadership level. So I feel like we've done everything that we could from a regulation policy perspective to help affect it in the best way that we could with the resources that were allocated. But I think the bigger challenge to it was really, to Jeremy's point, is like culturally, that takes a lot of time to change it. And our culture was absolutely like, hey, we were eating our babies. Like, it's kind of kill or be killed, right? So, like, the strongest survive. Like, that's how we operated. So when you're in that operating environment, it's really hard to show any weakness or anything like that, because you'll be voted off the island or you'll be voted off the team. But I mean, 6, 8, 10 years, we've done a lot of work to change that culture. And you're seeing it across the board, but that doesn't mean we're still as effective as we could be, because it's like anything, if it just stays at work, right? If that's the only time that we're engaging in the fight, like, what are we doing the other 80% of the time or 50% of the time? Like, it has to be an everyday thing, an all the time thing. So if Jeremy was calling me, like, right now after this, and like, hey, I have problems, like, I should respond and kind of be like, hey, man, I'm here for you. What do you need? Like, we're going to get through this together, right? And I don't think we always do that.
No, I think we're all
gets in the way.
Bad. Yeah, we're all guilty of that. We just suffer in silence. Essentially, is what we do, because nobody wants to. Who's picking up the phone calling somebody? But we need to get better at that, and that's the reason why we're having conversations like this, and that's why you guys created your movement, because we want to put eyes on teddy bears, man. We got to get out there and encourage guys. Go back and pick up that old alert roster. I know my dang cell phone ain't changed in 20 years. Contact those guys. Yeah, we will call a guy for the dumbest crap back in the day, but now it literally takes an act of Congress for us just to pick up the phone and say, hey, what's up, man? How you doing? Come up on the net and be recognized.
We're more connected than we ever have been in the history of the world, right? And we can't communicate with each other. So, like, I want to hit on that specifically. Like, being a good leader is like being a good parent, right? Like, I used to think that talking about this stuff was weak or whatever it is. And what I've realized through this journey is it makes you stronger in every way, right? So now, like, I don't care what people think about me when it comes to this stuff, because I know it's the right thing to do. And I know that even if I only help one person, it's worth it, 100%. So,
absolutely.
And, like, again, when you have really strong leaders and you have really good people like Jeremy, and you have a strong team that's all going in the same direction, you can change the world.
Yeah, and it sometimes it just takes one person, because that's what it takes to start a movement. if you can just kind of get it going. And I appreciate the fact that you guys have actually been able to do that and look like you're even gaining traction and you got some things coming up. That's awesome. Is there anything that we can do at Fall In to help increase awareness for you guys? Or is there a call to duty that are you sending out a call to people to kind of come and join your movement? You want to send that shout out?
Yeah, well, we're gaining traction on the page. We're making posts on the page right now. It's slow, but just have guys chime in, ask questions. Like us, follow us, and I will definitely be putting more content on there. Dylan will put some content on there. We're going to start moving some of our guys who've been our leaders in the other platform to come on over and start putting content in there. And once we get a good grasp on everything and we start getting guys to transition, we'll have some stuff rolling and we'll be we'll be ready to take on everything. So, we're still working through some technical issues. I think it's more on my end from where I live at. I'm having a hard time uploading videos, but I'm going out of my way I'm going to town and everything to get internet so I can upload my stuff. So, we're definitely, I'm ironing some stuff out, but we're ready to work. We're ready to move.
So, do you guys ever see yourselves as having like a freedom and faith union? Like maybe not a reunion, but maybe a reunion of sorts where you kind of all come together and have like maybe a men's convention? Is there something like that on the horizon?
Absolutely. So we started we're in the process right now of becoming a nonprofit organization. We've already incorporated and we're trying to become a nonprofit organization. What we're looking at doing is once we start getting that going is to take all the funds that we're able to collect. And that's whenever, like the two guys, Dylan and another guy, are flying down in August, using the funds for that for this men's retreat, for this men's conference. And then, as we build, then we can look at, everybody gathering in Clarksville, on this date or whatever. So, yeah, absolutely. Right now, the funds for sure, 100%, are going to our movement. But we'll definitely do some leader because obviously sitting face to face with guys and really hashing out issues and hashing out problems, coming up with new ideas is a very important goal in our, as we move forward. So, but yeah.
So how do I donate, right? How do I sign up and how do I volunteer to join and do work? Because that's what the audience is going to need to know, right? They're going to need those questions like, how do I donate?
Well, check us out on Freedom and Faith page. Obviously, right now we're not taking donations because we're not a nonprofit yet. But as soon as we do, I will absolutely post all the information on the page. But for right now, follow us. I mean, put your own content in there. We'll work through all that. We'll talk to people and kind of give them our guidance and where we're going with what we're doing, and just join in and just follow us. We're moving forward. Just jump on the train.
Yeah, so
I love it.
Kind of like something I want to add to that. So obviously we're all source, right? And it's something we've talked about quite a bit. Is like, okay, what does the message need to be? What's the purpose? It's kind of as you are, if you will. You know what I mean? And that's the way it should be. So it's not necessarily about one thing. It's about doing whatever we can to help the community. And I think that's cool because we're not going after one thing. And so, Jeremy, hit on the kind of little get together you had 2 weeks ago when you were up in Campbell.
Yeah. So
meeting with the guys face to face.
I mean, we kind of almost had this already. My son's actually in Houlton right now. So I went up to bring his truck and we all got together at the Texas Roadhouse that they got on post now, which is crazy. But so yeah, we gathered up there and I mean, we had go ahead.
Say but again. A Texas Roadhouse on
Texas
post?
Roadhouse on post. Yep. Yeah.
Like Fort Campbell.
Fort Campbell. 100%.
All right.
And the steaks were amazing. But so yeah, we just said, we had a just good sit down, good talk, and now we had content to talk about. And it was actually really hearty content. We had guys that weren't on because they're not on the platform we're on. So they weren't on the site, but they were seeking, they were searching, and we were able to talk. We were able to give up info, and we were able to kind of show them our direction and where we're going. So it was it was eye opening having, guys face to face after, somebody, likes this or somebody loves that. Now we're all face to face and we can hash it all out and talk it all through. And it was great. It was amazing. So that is absolutely
awesome.
needed. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely, man. That is awesome. Anything else you guys got that you want to talk on here before we wrap it up?
I had a point that I wanted to jump on with Dylan. Dylan talked about come as you are. And one thing that we are seeing in our site, and I push it a lot, is for guys to chime in and come together, because like Dylan was saying, we're all in different parts of our journey. So where I'm at, I might not connect with 3 guys or 4 guys over here. But Dylan chimes in and Dylan jumps right in and they hits the nail on the head, So the more people we have interacting, the more vast our connection will be with the crowds. So the more input we have, the better we'll be, and that's kind of what we're seeking. It's quality input, obviously, but just different perspective, different walks of life, different you name it, and it all comes together, and it all moves the train forward.
So, Major?
Nope, I second all that, 100%. We're stronger as a team. Everybody life is really about perspective and perception, right? So when you can get as much as that as possible, it gives you the ability to almost reach out to anybody. If we're always given one message, like, we're going to reach just those people, which is always going to be a smaller kind of crowd, if you will. So I think it's critical. And again, if we're going to say it's faith-based and we're like, hey, you can't come because of X, Y, and Z, like, I did say credibility earlier, right? So you have to be credible, and we have to allow people to come. And like, they really, at the end of the day, they're going to make the platform grow and be what it needs to be.
Yep.
Absolutely. Guys, I would love to have you guys back. Maybe we could do a part 2 to this sometime in the near future, so we can kind of chart your journey a little bit better and see exactly not only the direction that you're going, but cover a lot of the things that you've already done. Ladies and gentlemen, you know where to find these guys. That's going to be on Fall In, the website. The group is Freedom in Faith. And that speaks volumes. So stop by, listen to a testimony, read a testimony, give your own testimony, get involved, because you might make that difference. Your testimony could be the one testimony that sparks 10 more. So I encourage everybody to just simply get involved. Thank you guys again for coming on to the Fall In podcast. That's going to be a wrap for us, guys. But continue to tune in. It's Big Al's podcast. We will be talking about all things that are happening, going on, and occurring right now. Thank you guys again, and good evening.
Thanks a lot, Al. Have a good one.
Yeah, thank you, boss. Thanks, Jeremy.
I had a good time. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
You went, you served, and forged the relationships that only being baptized in the fire of combat can develop. At FallinVeteran.com, we understand the unique bond that veterans share. That's why we've created a platform where you can connect, share experiences, and build lifelong friendships with fellow veterans. Signing up is easy. Simply visit www.fall-in-veteran.com and create your profile. Customize it to reflect your military service interests and hobbies. FallinVeteran.com is more than just an online community. It's a support network where you can find resources, advice, and encouragement from those who understand what you've been through. Whether you're looking for camaraderie, mentorship, or simply a place to share your stories, FallinVeteran.com has it all. Join thousands of veterans who have already found their tribe and start connecting today. FallinVeteran.com. Come join us and experience the power of community. Sign up now at www.fall-in-veteran.com.